thank God it's Friday. Whoop, whoop, whoop. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Obiajulu.
Hi, excellent morning.
How you doing?
I'm doing amazing. So many shout outs. I don't know where to start from. So that has taken my banter. But let me start from one of our producers, Maradesa family, and he wants to. That's Dolapo, one of our producers, and he wants to wish a happy birthday to Prophet Abiola Adebisi, the founder and president of Christ Miracle Church Mission Worldwide. From Maradesa family, happy birthday, sir. Then I have. Let me just do a few ones I have here. I have another one from. This person wants to give a shout out to her wonderful mother-in-law, Chief Mrs. Oluwafumilayo Florence Ojo, whose birthday is today. She's going to be 70 today. Wow. So she says, kudos to being a mom, grandma, and as well as my best mother-in-law from Itiola Olubumi Ojo, her daughter-in-law. Then one more before I run off is, okay, it says, she wants to wish a happy birthday to her sister, Olabode Hassat, from your brother, Olabode Abdul Martin.
Nice.
So wishing you a happy birthday.
Fantastic.
Hope I didn't take any of yours.
No,
How are you doing?
go ahead. On behalf of
fine, thank you, but go
family,
ahead.
the Maradesa's family are wishing the Alafi of Oyo happy 50th coronation anniversary today. So I read this in the papers and I was shocked because I know we did it for him last year. Adeakpe Lorisa, but Adeakpe, let's say 50 years is a long, congratulations.
Congratulations.
And then I have a shout out on Twitter. So Bridget says I should help her shout out to her son, Adegboyega Adetoro, as he clocks another year on Sunday, and that I pray the Lord blesses his new age and may he continue to age with wisdom and God's guidance. His mom, Pastor Bridget Adetoro from the UK. And
so
then
we are not bantering anymore. No, it's just birthday shout out.
I think we need to look for it.
Let's finish first.
Because there's one here. Okay, you have one more.
Emeroye Christiana says that we should shout out to her sister-in-law, Iku Diuto Elizabeth. 16th of January is her birthday. That's Sunday as well. She's the best sister-in-law I could ever imagine. I'm praying for all our goals of 2021 to be achieved. Happy birthday, Liz Khan. That's what they call her. So
usually Felix Ishola, let me just take it over. It's his wife's birthday today. Yeah. Her name is Titi Lope Ishola, and he says that he wishes her long life, prosperity, more of God's blessings in good and sound health in Jesus' name.
Amen.
And that they are both fans and followers.
I wanted to hear how your weekend is going to be, what you're doing. That's what we usually discuss about that. Now it has been overwhelmed by birthday shout-outs.
You know what?
Pick a day.
Yeah, we need to pick a day a month. So for January, shout-outs.
So there's two that we wanted to do.
Let me finish this one. So Alaja Shururat had sent me on WhatsApp. Her 32nd wedding anniversary was on the 14th of January. And because of overwhelming birthday shout-outs, I missed it. So happy anniversary, my congratulations again.
Okay, so I have somebody who sent me. I have two here. He said tomorrow, that's today, is her daughter's birthday. Her name is Morayo Oluwa Olaoshebikon. She's 6 years old today. Happy birthday to Morayo. Interestingly, she named her after me.
This is the second person that I
sweet. In fact, even my madam's police, Mr. Wale, named his child Morayo also. So I really appreciate, because growing up, there weren't many Morayos. But I really appreciate many people actually naming that I named the actual Morayo. So I have one more. Somebody said, hi ladies, this is Chichi Akujobi of Make It with Chichi. Today she's 41 today. Happy birthday, Chichi.
Let me quickly do this too.
Oh Lord.
Yes, Adeni Adenuba, shout out to her big brother from Oluwaseyi Adenuba. For Adeni Adenuba, that's the brother, and Adetola Deborah, her younger sister. Today, the 15th of January is their birthday. Happy birthdays.
So I hope our viewers can understand now that if we because our banter has been overtaken, we are going to have to pick a day. We can't be doing this anymore, because then it takes away from the show.
Once a month, all the January
Yes, it takes away from the context of the show. And once you start doing banter, people just, the banter they're doing, they'll just skip and they don't want to watch the banter anymore. They don't want to talk about your birthday shout-outs. So we'll find it, we'll discuss it internally and see, we'll pick a day, maybe once a month or once a week, where we shout out for the week. So it doesn't take over our banter. Anyways, let's go on a break. It's Friday, there's so much gist out there, but first, we go through the front pages of the papers. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
tuned. Your View will be right back.
Right, we're starting with the nation. How 27 states force federal government to reopen schools. Inspector Fash here in front page, fixing 3rd Mainland Bridge. We see that the Honorable Minister. Lagos targets 512 billion naira tax, 195 billion naira loan to fund 2021 budget. Why are you guys looking at me like that? Don't worry, he's fine. Security lockdown in Washington, D.C. ahead of Biden inauguration. Government pushes up plan on 50 billion naira export expansion. Hospital deceived us on Kano's recovery, says widow. And Kuka, Nigeria learned nothing from the civil war. Southwest lawmakers back return of power to zone. Okay, which story?
Major headline,
Yes.
how 27 states forced the federal government's hand. So the Ministry of Education, Federal Ministry of Education, saying that they had to sit down with governors, commissioners of education in different states, in all the states, proprietaresses of schools. They spoke to student bodies as well, just to discuss the resumption date because of what we're going through. And even though government had put it on January 18th, some other schools wanted to resume on the January 11th, and they had gone ahead to put what's in place. But really, the all in all of the conversation is they'll resume 18th, but make sure that everything follow the proper guidelines. Every facility needed to enforce the following of the guideline is put in place. Make sure that you have clinics in the schools. Make sure you're washing your hands, wearing face masks. But NMA, NAD, NAM, those are the medical bodies, are saying that for them it is still dangerous to reopen schools, especially given the numbers that we're looking at these days.
So let me just quickly add the bottom strip story in the nation. So Southwest lawmakers, including former lawmakers and deputy speakers and current speakers, conveyed by the Speaker of the Lagos State House of Assembly, Obasa, conveyed somewhere in Ibadan, and they sort of alluded to 2023 taking over, producing the next leader for the country in 2023, and they endorsed the former governor of Lagos State at that meeting.
Wow.
The Speaker of Lagos State introduced the Bola Ahmed Tinubu Foundation and a movement for that gathering, saying that they want him to be their leader.
Okay, so the widow of Kano, the former military head of administration of Lagos State, was saying that the hospital deceived the family on the health status of their patriarch. According to her, they told her that he was getting better. Unfortunately, he wasn't, because she had actually planned to fly him outside the country with an air ambulance, and she was making the arrangements for that. But because the hospital had told them that he was faring better, they set aside that plan. Unfortunately, now it's so difficult for her to move on from this. And his daughter also said quite a number of things about him. So the whole country is mourning, and we pray that his soul rest in peace.
Amen.
That loss. Yeah. Moving on now to Vanguard. Foreign armed Fulani heads trooping into Oyo, says ex-DMI boss General Kunle Togun. 4th Mainland Bridge preferred bidders to emerge Q3 2021. COVID-19 has depleted ranks of Nigeria's leadership, says Obasanjo. 51 years after, Nigeria hasn't learnt from civil war ordeal. Ndubuisi Kanu Hospital deceived us on its recovery, and its security has improved in Northeast, says Buhari. Which story are we taking here?
The major headline?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so the chairman of Amoteco, security network in the West, has said that a lot of Fulani herdsmen who are foreigners are trooping into the zone through Shaki East, Shaki West, and Atisbo local government areas. And Atisbo local government areas. And he is saying that most of the local chiefs there are actually giving out lands to these foreigners because some of them are really invested. So they are buying their cattle from them, because when they want to do their ceremonies, they need cattle. So they buy cattle and then they give them land, and they allow them come in without proper documentation. So the Oyo governor is also saying that Makinde is also saying that they need to, fish out these traditional rulers who are conniving with all of these foreign headsmen coming in. Amotekun was able to seize about 3 bags of their charms, their arrows, their tools, about 3 bags of it, and they have called out 2 of the chiefs. They didn't mention their names, who are directly involved in allowing the foreigners come in for investigation.
Okay. So, any other story?
So Buhari is saying that security has improved, but this was a statement by his advisor on media and publicity, Femi Adesina, and he was reporting back on the meeting Buhari had with Reverend Yakubu Pam, Executive Secretary of Nigerian Christian Pilgrims Commission. And basically, the president was just saying that the elites should be fair in their criticism of the administration, and that in criticizing this administration or looking at what the administration has done, it's best to compare it with what they met when they came in, the situation of our country, and as regards insecurity in the northeast, that a lot has been done. We should ask, if you need to know how much has been done, ask people in Adamawa, in Yobe, and a few and Borno. He said those are the people that can tell you how things have improved. He's just saying that, you know, be fair in your criticism of this.
One of the
we have done our best.
One of the things I had also read that he had said was that we used to have where Boko Haram was taking over territories, that we don't have that anymore.
Yes.
Right now they have what they are doing at the soft targets. They usually they try to clone, but according to them, they've weakened the strength of the Boko Haram.
But Maria, shouldn't we be the ones who would say what the presidency has done, because we are the ones that don't
saying the community. Maybe it's the community should be telling us.
Yes, so tell us what
what
you know, it's like blowing your own trumpet, and you people don't like it.
Sometimes
here
they need to blow their trumpet.
Maybe if you are not blowing their trumpet for them, they need to step up and start blowing it.
So
that's
maybe,
how they see it.
but we need to hear from the community.
Yes.
I think Daily Sun, Kuka opens up again. Nigeria hasn't recovered from wounds of civil war 51 years after, he says. IPOB dares Southeast governors, vows to resist new vigilantes. Umahi will contest presidency in 2023, says Ebonyi APC. January 18th, school resumption date stands, says federal government. Lai Mohammed Saraki lacked electoral value to fight Governor Abdul Razak, says Kwara APC elders. Nigeria safer today than 2015, says Buhari. And soldiers kill 80 terrorists, arrest 4 cultists and others. Which story are we taking in, son? IPOB, go ahead.
Yes,
please.
so the indigenous people of Biafra are vowing to frustrate the proposed vigilance group by the Southeast governor. So these IPOB have they had already conscripted their own security outfit called Eastern Security Network. And one of the reasons they did was because they wanted to protect that zone from the headers and all the people who come in banditry and all of that. But they are saying now that the governors are coming, the Southeast governors are coming together to have another security network, which is directly going to be fighting IPOB. Is going to be anti-IPOB, and so they are asking the youths of the Southeast not to join the governor's security network, and they are going to try as much as possible to, you know, destabilize whatever is going to happen, because they will end up using Mieti Allah to start fighting IPOB instead of following the security, solving security issues in the states.
Okay, so the elders in Kwara APC have said that Alhaji Lai Mohammed and Saraki are paperweights and ordinary appointees of the president and have little or no contribution to make in Kwara politics. Therefore, they have no right to run for office. Moving on now to the Punch. Northern elders, Kuka Obi, others warn of another civil war. Army detains civilian for 7 months over old Facebook video. Amotekun dismisses call for killing Okada rider, delivers him for prosecution. 10 jailed 1 month for dumping refuse on Ekiti roads. FG bans overcrowding assemblies, others as school resume on Monday. 96 firms bid to repair NNPC pipelines and terminals. Okay, which story are we taking?
Yeah, Amotekun. Yes. So, you know, we're asking the man what will happen. And finally, Amotekun has one Kazim Afolabi, the Amotekun of personnel who shot at and killed a commercial motorcyclist in Ibadan, somebody called Tosin Thomas in Ibadan, has been relieved of his services from the corps and handed over for prosecution for the murder of Tosin Thomas. And that is what we, that should give us relief and confidence in the system, that, there's no high-handedness possible within that circle. So I would like to also know at the end of the prosecution whether he pays for the crime.
Human interest story?
Okay.
So a civilian, Emmanuel Odaudu, had been arrested by the Nigerian military. So he was actually in the military at the time. He posted a rapping video on Facebook, and they accused him of posting a video where he was advising people to get their PVCs to vote, and they had to take it down and arrested him. So they locked him up, I think about 2 months or 3 months. But then the mother intervened and they released him. So while he was still waiting for deployment, another video, so this thing that Facebook does that reminds you of your old videos, now brought out another video of him also speaking in uniform. So they accused him of impersonation and picked him up again. So he's been languishing in the Abuja. They took him first of all to Port Harcourt on the ground and then moved him to Abuja. He's not able to, talk to his parents and anything. So the mother is crying out and saying that he is a civilian as we speak, and so he should be released to the police. They should not, because they are torturing him and doing all sorts of things to him. The police should be handling this issue now. And it was actually Facebook that he had done that video long before. So it was just a reminder. And so
I have one more story. In Ogun State, the police command have recovered over 2.7 million naira and 10 million naira worth of hard drugs after raiding a suspected drug cartel. They had gotten a tip-off, and they, in this particular area called Maya's area of Lafenwa in Abeokuta North local government area, they were able to get there. The suspects escaped. They said that they could not chase them, or because of casualties that may occur. But what they got, 10 million naira, 6 parts, all the drugs, everything there. And I'm surprised that we have like a huge syndicate of drugs and drug dealing people in the state. How long have they been doing this for?
Today.
Interesting questions.
Yeah.
We have to wrap up now, but I just reading the story on the Kwara State. It's just growing up. Kwara was synonymous with Saraki. Like you can't even, somebody to even say that Saraki cannot win election, or he doesn't have the capacity to win elections. It's so, it sounds so, like, so yeah, it's just interesting. Like nothing lasts forever.
Yeah.
Right, that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we come back, move on to the hot topics. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So growing up, the girl child always gets trained to endure a lot of pain, saying that she's going to need endurance in her husband's house. The question is, how do you teach our daughters to measure their strength? How, by the pain they go through? Is that the right thing to do? You can join the conversation by going to @TVC Connect. Please hashtag #YoVTVC so we can read your tweets. All right, so, well, nobody told me that I had to endure pain in my own growing up. But I think society just gives us that warning that the next phase is going to be, I don't want to use the word treacherous, that's a bit too hard, but that we should just prepare for the life of the difficulties ahead. So when they do come, you feel like, oh, I've been warned already, so you still have to brace up. Do you think that thinking today is still relevant? Or do you feel that society has gradually begun to change and accept us for who we are?
Let me call out my mom. I know she will kill me for this. So at 12, I had tiny wrists. I was the smallest I was still small among my sisters. But I was made to pound because as an Auchi girl, I'm supposed to be prepared in case I marry an Auchi man to pound yam for him to eat. And I was looking at her strangely because I was a free-spirited person. I hated to cook. And she made a roster in the house so that every morning, when it's my turn, I'm to mop, scrub, clean, everything. But the one that she did that broke the camel's back was as we moved to the house in where she lives now. she changed the cooking method. So we had the gas cooker as I was a child, and I would cook my beans on gas. And she would insist, beans, they don't cook it on gas, they cook it on stove. They are wasting resources. And my mother now traveled with my dad somewhere to Abeokuta. They came back with stone. They took away the blender.
Oh.
They came back with mortar. They took away. And we are Omelero. Even if I don't use blender, I can draw NG and ground pepper. And one Ramadan morning, you know the way they sight the moon unprepared. And she was like, if they sight the moon tomorrow, I want to cook ogbono so we can fast. And I said, okay, no problem. I will blend it. She took the blender. I just didn't get it. And by 11, I was already crying. She said, you want to go into your husband's house, a lazy girl, Jesus. And they will say, I didn't raise you. My father tried to, my mom can be tough. And she refused to hear. I carried that ogbono. And as I was attempting to go to, you know, the usual places where you grind ogbono, pepper soup spice with that hand engine. So they will grind it for me and I'll pay them money. She locked the gates. Thanks for my elder sister who is good with the stone. I napped it today. I don't know how to use that stone to grind. But she thought that all these things might be the life. Wherever I marry, so and that they will be judging me as badly brought up for finding it strange. Whereas my father don't love me as a girl and provided comfort, but you took away all the comfort, thinking you were grounding me.
Thank you for using that word, because I mean, I recently posted something on social media saying that, listen, this life is not hard. If you need a help, get a help. If you need a driver, get a driver. If you need somebody to cook your food, get it.
If you can afford it, don't break bank. But if you can afford it,
you make it look like the girl child was, because I mean, my own background was totally different. I mean, I came 12 years after my brother. My mother was not as active. I mean, no, doing my own time, was she active? She was very active in business. You know, during my brother's time, she was available as a mother, as a nurturer. But during my time, there were a lot of struggles where she knew that her business had to grow. So Mariah was not even so she was so focused on her business that I was left with the help. Everything I needed, my help, the house help, did everything. I cooked my first soup, my first pot of soup when I entered US. As a 15-year-old girl. And my brother, when I came there, my brother thought, oh, my sister from the US, from Nigeria, she will know correct soup. He was so excited because his wife's soup, there's only plantain she does. And this will kill me. There's only plantain she could do. So he thought that my sister is from Nigeria. Very good. He went to the supermarket, got tomato pepper, thinking that my sister is going to cook Lagos soup. I did a horrible job. I sincerely failed. I didn't know jack. I learned I learned how to cook as an adult. So these are, but today, how do we raise a girl child? Do we say you're going to have a washing machine? Don't bother washing the plates. Is there going to be a dishwashing machine for you in the future? Do you need to teach your child how to wash plates? Because most houses in the US have dishwashing machines. Do we see that Nigeria in the next 10, 15 years, when our children are adults, would have dishwashing machines? They need that skill to wash plates.
Okay, so for me there has to be a balance, because we also have the Nigerian culture is to make it seem like, you know, we prepare for the worst. Our parents prepare for the worst. And then if it is better for you, then good for you. But if it's bad for you, at least you're prepared. You know what to do when you meet yourself in that situation. The Oyinbo, they will teach you fairy tales. A handsome prince will come and save you, and you'll be, you know, and you live happily ever after. And then you get married, and that is not the case. And you're so heartbroken, like, what is happening? You know, you hear everybody, I'm waiting for my prince. Ati, he's a prince, but he also has, you know, other sides to it. What is important is to have a balance. And I think that for our generation, that is what happened. Our parents tried to give us a balance. So I remember my mom, I just never liked cooking. Or the problem was when I was interested in cooking, because my mom was a nurse and she used to work nights most of the time. And by the time she comes during the day, I'm off in school. The times we had together, she just wanted to quickly make our food and be gone. So at that time when I was interested, she didn't have the time. And when my interest passed, you know, I just could not bring myself to it. And she'd be like, Auntie, if you don't learn this thing, if you get married to, especially in a big family, you will be lost. They will insult you, the blah, blah, blah. I was like, no, I'm not going to marry a man that cannot cook. And to God be the glory. People that dated me, they love to cook. So they will cook for me and they will bring it to me.
Oh, wow, lucky you.
God answered my prayer. And then when I met my husband, he was like, what are you doing in the kitchen? you know, not that he didn't like you to cook, but he didn't expect you to be in the kitchen morning till night. For him, it was like, I get someone to help, and then when you can go in. And now I love to cook for my children. I love to see that on my children. But it's important to raise a child, you know, in a balanced way. I like to buy these brooms, the regular local brooms for my children to sweep. They hate it. They prefer to use the long-standing brooms, you know. And I've told you guys how I like to wash my stuff with my hands.
Yeah.
My son, you know, I was saying to him, come on. He says, no, mommy, I'm getting a washing machine.
Exactly.
So it's okay for them to know both. What I'm doing for my own children is I do not want where there is gender roles when it comes to taking care of yourself. My son must be able to do exactly what my daughter can do. I do not want I don't want him to find himself in a situation where it is because the person cooks and cleans for me, that's why I think I may have to marry this person or be with this person. That should not be one of the things that, you know, decides your future for you.
That's an interesting topic.
You're able to cook for yourself, you're able to clean up after yourself. Those are important life skills for anybody.
I'd like us to come to that maybe a bit later, because how do you raise a boy child, especially in a society that expects so much from the girl child? But in your view, how were you raised?
For me, I would say lucky, because I was raised by a man. And because he was a man, he didn't pay attention to all those, you must use the grinding stone and all. As in, do it as fast as you can and make your life easy.
I know men are like that.
Yes, that was my dad for me. So if you want to eat fast, let BC be the one in the kitchen. I'm very fast with cooking. And I learned cooking myself. My grandmother used to be a caterer. And when she died, she left her catering book for me. So very early, I started exploring. I remember when my father would go out, when there was no woman in the house. My father is home. He came in yesterday to visit. He may be watching me. And then he will keep money for us when we come back from school. Normally he cooks the jollof rice for us to take to school, me and my two brothers. I was the only girl. And then when you come back, you can take this. There's one a restaurant very close to the house. Go and buy what you people want to eat. So I had this mature friend who comes by the house, and then she's like, you people have all the ingredients. There's dry fish, there's palm oil, there's rice. Your daddy buys a lot of food. Why don't you cook? You have a cookery book. You always read it. Try. And I made my very first coconut rice. I kept on my dad. When he came back and ate, I was like, you cook this? I said, yes. He said, When he was leaving the next day, I said, Daddy, drop money. I will cook something. And that was how I started exploring the kitchen. And I loved it. But the other chores, like the sweeping and all of that, I was doing it because I had to, but they were not my thing. We're going
to go on a break. I want us to come back and then focus on the topic we're trying to start. Like, how, when a girl child is raised, that, okay, there's hardship, how do we balance it? Is that balancing of, are we preparing our child for the dark ages? We're preparing a child for the 21st century.
Yeah.
That's really the question. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right back.
With us. So we're still on this topic concerning how do we raise a child? Are we raising our children for the dark ages, for the past, or are we raising them for the 21st century? Let me come back to you, BC.
Yeah, so while I was giving the analogy of my growing up, I wanted to mention that our parents made the decisions based on the knowledge that they had. So you make decisions based on what you are aware of, your consciousness, what is happening in your society, and that informs how you want to raise your children, because you've seen that, and your resources too. You've seen that women, when they go into their husbands' houses, they are made to do this, that, and for you don't want anything to stress your child. So you start preparing. You need to know how to pound, you need to know how to cook, you need to know how to clean, wash, and all of that, so that in their mind, they want to make it easy for you, but somehow along the line, because they've introduced hard labor, it's a sort of mindset that follows the child to that home, because she now feels that I have to be like this to be wife material. I have to do all of the work. I have to stress myself to show that I was rightly raised by my parents. But because I grew up, I was raised by a man, I didn't have that mentality of it has to be hard before it makes sense or before it comes. So I had the mentality of it's easy. If I can afford it, I get somebody to do it for me, so I can use my time for something more productive. And this is the 21st century. Right now, I'm raising my children differently. I'm not emphasizing, they have their chores, their little sweep here, gather here, do this, but I have a washing machine. I have everything that I need in my house, and you must know how to wash, because even in the university, I saw some friends who were not doing anything, and they got the best of husbands, and today they are happily married, and they are not the ones that's me cooking and killing myself. I've also realized that some men, your daughter may be lucky to meet a man who doesn't even want her, just sit down, pause, will be all right.
I used to be insulted because I couldn't, when I was younger, I know the kind of bashing I got because, I cannot cook. Because honestly, before the truth is I actually could not cook. I had never really been in the kitchen in my own house because my mom wasn't even around, at the time. My brothers cook very well because she was there for them, but I came 12 years after. So during that period, it was a hosting time, and she didn't have that time to teach me how to cook. So I just did not. So then all those aunties, they used to look at me, lazy. I'm very lazy, just sit down in front of the TV. And I used to feel really bad, but I wanted to learn, but nobody was willing to teach me because, hey, if a mother cannot teach you, they only wanted to criticize me. So, but I know that today, by God's grace and mercy, I'm able to afford somebody to come and do. I mean, I can cook today.
If you want
to, I'll cook. If I want to, I can cook, definitely. But if I do need to get somebody to assist in the house, I can. But you don't answer that question. The question therefore, what is the new normal? How do we raise these children today?
May I quickly finish the new normal that you did not let me land 2 times now? So, it's very important that we adjust with the times. We are in the 21st century and things are changing. So you do not use the old mentality. You do not pour a new wine into an old wineskin. You need to grow as it grows. You need to evolve as it evolves. What the trend that we have now is that you raise your children to be independent on their own, so that when they stay on their, maybe in the schools, the university, they can take care of themselves. Not necessarily being able to take care of the whole community or the neighborhood. They can take care of themselves. Wherever they find themselves, they can adjust. So those skills are very important that they have it. They should be able to wash their dishes. They should be able to wash their clothes themselves. But it is not compulsory that you start making it difficult for them so that they learn the hard way. Because the truth is, they can finish school and get a very good job and buy their washing machine, buy their dishwasher, buy everything that they need to make life easy. Now, the difference between us and the Western world is that they are constantly thinking of how to make life easy for themselves. You saw these washing machines where they produced it for us. All these things we are using, the iron, they make it easy because they are thinking, they are doing more of the work with their head. And that is where the emphasis is going. Knowledge economy. You teach your children to do the work with their head. There are other things to sort out themselves.
Right. Okay, so just as a joke, if you watch like the Kardashians, one of the girls was moving to her house and they were asking her if she even knew how to flush the toilet or if she knew how to press the buttons for the washing machine. So even they have their own conversations concerning that. But I want to use this particular show I watched. I don't know if you've seen Wife Swap before, where a wife moves from one family to the other and they swap. So I watched this one with a Nigerian family and an American family. And it was very important to note that, many times when we talk about our culture, we only see the negatives. We don't see the positives, and we tend to just, just talk down on our culture and what we have learned. But I've learned that it's important to have both and have a balance. So this Nigerian family, what works for them is they cook as a family. Cooking time is a family event. They make sure that they eat at home. Father, mother, children are involved in cooking. Everybody has a roster like you grew up. And this American family did not have that. And when they swapped, when the African woman took that to the American family, they were already having issues in the family. But the idea of having a family coming together to do the cooking, to have chores, because with their own parents, they didn't have chores, to have designated chores, it made the children happier. So where the Oyinbo people were thinking they were making their children's lives easier, the children were not necessarily happy. So now that they had something to get up to do, it gave them like a sense of purpose. And it was something that white white family learned to do for their children. On the other hand, trust Nigerian family. Now, wake up first in the morning, you pray, last thing you pray, no friends, nothing. So she brought into them how you can just balance it. Yeah, the children can go out and make friends. So it is important to balance it, especially that we live in such a global village right now. You may be raised in Auchi, but you don't know what will happen in 20 or 15 years' time. Get married to someone in America. You should be able to use the machines that are there. But like you mentioned, Nima, some of these things are not something that you must enforce everything at a young age. There are some things you grow to enjoy. There are some things you grow to learn. There are some things you grow to do better. Many people didn't learn to cook until much later. Right. And now people would describe them as the best cooks ever. Yeah, so just balance always.
This is what I would say. Growing up, one of the best things that I took from my upbringing is that family is a joint effort. Everybody had their roles to play, and it should be built on everybody's strength. So when we had hosting events, and my father's house was the central point for everybody then, everybody had a role. My sisters are natural cooks. Natural, they had the strength. They can, in fact, the first daughter, she can pound for the whole family. But the husband she married can just make his golden more in the morning and he's fine.
Yes.
That's what he likes to take, But the person that I didn't like the work, I married somebody who likes his food. So I adjusted with time. And I saw that because everybody had a role at home. And you knew when to come in to bring that strength to make the home work. My mom knew when, she needed to come in. Those were the things. So maybe when you're focusing on your child, you focus on some of the values, not exactly the work that you must see, that until you've done this and this. I found out my mother for my daughter, but I'm trying to give her certain basics. I call them basics. So your laundry, your personal effects, that is not anybody's business. Whatever you use, you must wash. Whatever plate you eat with, those are basics that you teach your child. But to teach your child because of the standard that you think somebody will see that child in future might just be defeating the child, because already the child now will be setting that what people think as the standard of how the person must behave. So the things that you really cannot do, please be free to say, please, can I pass? I really cannot do. I remember that my first egusi for my husband, I really felt it was bad because my mother's egusi is very dry. The egusi go down where.
I know that kind of.
So when I finished cooking and I went home to visit and she made her own, and my husband was really seeing it like this, I said,
when we reach out,
borrow yourself advice. So I just went to my mother-in-law's kitchen and saw her and mastered her way of frying it dry, and that's what I cooked it tomorrow. So you keep growing and adjusting. There's no one and add and fast food you must carry as a standard to husband's house.
Yes, we have tweets. So Bilkis says the reality is we must accept that this generation are not living in our times. And in another 20 years, technology would have advanced beyond what we call normal now. We shouldn't be stuck in the past. Just teach basics and don't slave the children. This is a serious matter in my home. She also says, why ask a girl to start to use brush when by the time she grows up, she might have a machine operating itself? My teenager daughter looks at me cooking and doing so many chores and tells me she won't marry a man who can cook his own meals or make her work like I do.
Taiwa Kilolu says, while growing up, we had 2 house helps at home. My mom was busy with work, so no time for me, so I wasn't doing any chores. And when I finished secondary school, despite house help, I knew I had to learn how to cook and do house chores because of my future, so she learned by herself. PJ Comedian said, measuring the strength by pain shouldn't be for a girl child. Boys too should be taught same. We find that in the long run, women are able to bear pain while men can't, giving rise to more men committing suicide when faced with turbulence in life. And this is a very serious issue. Miriam alluded to it when she talked about how everybody must have. But I found out, unfortunately, that my children are 2 separate people. So my daughter is gifted, she can do everything, but the brother keeps calling for her, his sister to help.
Still a baby.
She started quite early. At 4, she would do her bed, but this one doesn't do anything.
Girls start early.
Maybe they start late. Maybe he started late, but I'm trying to focus on his strength. So whatever he can do, he must do for her in service for what she'll do for him.
Okay, let's go. I think we can wrap up on that. Thank you very much, ladies. Let's go on a break. When we come back, continue this conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So before we move on, let's take a few tweets on the previous topic.
BK_K says, this topic isn't only chore related. Even in childbirth, if you don't go through pain of natural birth, people see you as less of a woman. Pain isn't compulsory. I can attest. In my life again, 14 hours labor is not for me.
Doesn't make sense.
I will just
Abe says, good morning, ladies. I agree on the basics. That is what has helped me till date. I'm now very good with cooking and keeping my environment. Bilkis Mafe says, my older daughter, as it is now, doesn't like chores, and she tells me she'd work hard so she could afford things that make her life easy. I mean, she looks at me and thinks she's been tortured doing those chores. I make her do it anyways, but she clearly knows what she wants.
Let me read Rich Apostle. I like this. He says, boys should be drilled more. The main reason we are having wife beaters today is because of over-pampering of the male child. I started cooking age 7. Today I'm a 21st century cook, and everyone around me is proud of it. Greetings to my mom who schooled me.
I like it. Romini says, I have never heard of this before. I never knew it was a general practice to force, the topic on girls.
Wow.
And I'm shocked that some people don't know this.
So somebody also said on Twitter that the same way you force people to learn how to drive manual. I mean, when I was driving, they kept insisting, if you don't know how to drive manual, you don't know how to drive any car. Today, manual has gone.
Yes.
So they forced us to learn manual. So the times had changed, but we're not willing to adjust with the time. We need to insist that, no, you have to learn how to drive manual.
The hard way first.
And now,
even in our exams,
Yes.
in our WAEC, you can't walk into an exam center with some calculators.
Yes.
In certain centers, the scientific calculators are not allowed. You have to come with the digital one. And it's archaic because abroad, they are learning faster.
Yes, so.
We are buying phones from them.
Are you
It's sad.
joking? That abroad thing. You have kids we went to school together with. When they were in Nigeria, they were the dum-dums. Then they go abroad. They are scaling. They'll tell you that they open book. The school will tell you to open your book
I
and
gave you
go
my
through.
story. When I was doing my very first exam, first of biology, and I think it was in the 11th grade, they drew the hat. They put the blue and the red. They labeled 1 or 2. That's why she labeled the red. In Nigeria, you draw the hat. You draw everything. Then I was doing exam. I was doing math exam. I came with just my pen.
What's your calculator?
People brought out the calculator. Where's your calculator? I said, I thought that the exam. Bring out your calculator.
Our senior WAEC, it was a cockroach.
Oh, yes, I remember. It was a cockroach. We're meant to draw a cockroach.
And label that cockroach. And I was still there drawing. And thankfully, the woman was like, babe, Alpha, make I help you. I said, please, save my life. Even was how we drew the cockroach.
Yes.
So I could label everything, but I took time trying to draw, and I wasn't artistic.
Yeah. So it comes down to what we have exposed ourselves to. And this is what I tell people. So I had someone I was coaching recently, and she was saying that she wanted to get married. She needed somebody to get married to. And then she now told me, so when I started talking about her beliefs, because something we find is, what are those beliefs that has limited you from achieving your goals? And when I asked that question, she said she believed, one of her beliefs was that all men are scum. It's a belief. It's a mindset, just like our parents feel that for you to get it, you have to pass through the hard way, forgetting that you can still go through. There's something I saw recently which says 5 plus 5 is 10. 4 plus 6 is still the same 10. 9 plus 1 is still the same 10. So there are different ways to get that 10. So as we race, let me quickly go back to the boy child now. So one thing I do is I don't see the sexes when I'm dealing with my children. I don't see this is a boy and this is a girl. I share the chores across everybody. My son cooks better than my girls right now because he loves to cook and I let him cook. So nobody has, I'm the man of the house. I'm the one that will, in fact, I am harder on him because I understand that a lot of things happen to his father that wouldn't have happened if he was able to take care of certain things by himself.
Let me link that to a tweet I saw on somebody she's a single mother of a son. And the boy is, I think he's 13 years old. And she's having serious difficulty in raising him because according to her, family are accusing her of raising him like a sissy. He's a softie, he doesn't have that manly demeanor. He's always being so petty, he's very sensitive, emotional, he cares, caring. And she's as a single mother, she feels like, what am I doing wrong? Am I raising this boy right? How do I give him that hardness that a boy child comes with naturally? How do I reinforce it as a mother? So in that kind of situation, how do you raise a boy child in this society?
It's not her doing. She can only raise him how she knows. So if there was a father in the house, that person will feel the image of who he needs to look up to for that role. So the people telling her among our family members, if they have a responsible man, that person can take it upon himself. We have uncles who will fill in the gap of a lost brother's for a lost brother's child, and let that child see who a man should be. I had that problem. My son was growing like my girl under the father's watch. So I had to call the father into a meeting. How do we do this boy? Because, he needs to have a role model and you have to be available. And since he started feeling that role, I've seen a bit of balance because the boy can't hug forever. He will just be cuddling you all over. What
is wrong with the boy? What is wrong with the boy hugging and cuddling?
It's okay because I enjoy it. I don't want him to grow up with it where he doesn't know there's another side to life. So wait now, a bit of softness for a man is important.
Is it necessary?
Is it necessary? Very necessary.
No, it's not.
No. If you leave that boy to go to a school for boys, for instance, where he will consider it bullying or he will be bullied for it.
Why do you think so? Why do you think so?
Going back to so let me explain. We even have an example in the Akwa Ibom story. There's a bit of toughness that boy would have had. And those people will not get beyond the first day, 2 days of that abuse.
I don't think it's
no, I think so.
Let me come to you. Let me hear
your first. Some boldness. Okay, let me explain.
So I'll let you explain.
No, let me drop this point.
Okay.
So when that happened, the way I knew my son was being abused was the day as young as he was, he blotted it out. I would check him, and there was a day I was checking, just called the name of the person. She slapped me. The way he said it, that's not his usual way. He doesn't snap. So a bit of toughness is important to just the balance. So I look at that balance. You need to have that balance. Give him something that shows.
But should that be gender specific? Doesn't the girl too need to be tough? Let me come to you.
I'm already toughening the girl now.
No, I'm talking about you. I'm talking about generally here. We're talking about
generally. I think a lot of people, many Nigerians, I don't know for outside this country, but we look at kindness, especially from men, as weakness.
No.
Yes, we do. We look at men who seem to be much more considerate of your feelings as being what we call them, woman rapper is what we call them. So we bring them down for daring to even be sensitive and be kind. So a man has to be tough. He has to even be a bully. So that it's like, that man, Sierra Mo, this is the sort of person he is. And they those sort of people get more respect. Oh, that person is seen as a leader. And then we wonder why when these men now take the bullying to the marriage and they perform what you have hailed them for, and then you now call them all sorts of things. But the truth is we need to change our mindset about what kindness is, what being sensitive is. You can have a different personality. I talk about my children and their different personalities. My son was, in his way, it was bullying. And the way he handled it was, it has happened, I suck it up and I move on. Do you understand? My daughter is the sort of person I will hear. She'll be telling me of how she had handled, even that she looked at me a certain way and I did not like it, and so I handled it. There was a particular girl I wanted to say hello to her in her school, and she said, "Mommy, don't say hello to her." She was bullying this person, and I told her off, and she was angry and she talked to me a certain way. My son, on the other hand, had somebody who was being mean to him, and when I said, "I'm not going to greet that person," he says, "No, Mommy,
it's okay.
It's okay. Just greet her. I've handled it." Do you understand? Many people would see that sort of behavior as being too weak. Oh, he's not strong enough. He should have shown her. But the thing is, it's important to raise both boys and girls to be confident. Kindness is not a weakness. It's a good thing. But confident enough to also understand that there's a boundary. You understand your self-respect. I have to go on a break.
When I come back, because let's be true to each other.
Yeah.
If a man comes to you and says, you're not likely to appreciate him. When a man comes like a man, there's a way a man shows up and stands up. A man has entered the room. We'll talk about that after the break.
It's the confidence that she's talking about, not that.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So we're still on this issue of how to raise that boy child, because today we see people who call themselves cross-dressers. They are all effeminate. The other one say, "I didn't cut me." You see, you don't want to raise a boy. in a situation where they feel like, maybe it's okay for me to be a cross-dresser. I mean, let's be realistic. Yeah. Doesn't mean that the cross-dresser, I mean, they have their constitutional rights. They have their rights to be who they want to be. That's their business. But I, as a mother, wouldn't want to raise a cross-dresser as a young boy. So the question, therefore, is that I'm going back to the single mother who sent us a message and said that she's having trouble with the fact that family is complaining about the way she has raised her son. He's 13 years old, and he seems to be quite effeminate. He's very soft. He cries about things. He's very, very. He's too soft for a young man. Is that a bad thing? That's the question.
I do not know the definition of too soft because I understand that people come with their different personalities. We have the sanguines, we have the cholerics, and they start manifesting from childhood. So I think parents should first of all pay attention to the personality a child comes with. And, because in trying to toughen up a child, we break that originality that child comes with. And the child will struggle with a lot of self-esteem along the line. The child will struggle with being able to identify who he truly is. My son cries, and it's okay. He's very emotional. He's
beyond a certain age.
I don't concern you. He's going to be 10 in February. He cries. Listen, let me finish. He cries. And it's okay. He's the one that will remember to peck me good night every night before he goes to bed. He's the one that cares from his side. That's his personality. My husband cries. It doesn't mean he's less of a man. My husband is a real man in any ramification. But he has that soft side. So there's always a balance. I was raised by a man, probably, and I'm a bit tough. I am somehow tough. Hold on. So when it comes to children, I wouldn't want us to say, because I hear a lot of people say, why are you crying? You're a boy. You should swallow it and man up. And then you toughen this boy, and that boy becomes a bully tomorrow. So we should, if the child wants to cry, let that child cry. If the child wants to be effeminate, let that child be effeminate. You can just
close this show, and I'll be wondering whether I was here. So it's okay for somebody to have weakness. So, some form of feeling that shows they have feelings. But I would worry. I worry. My son is just 4. I noticed that when there's a girl that 2 weeks apart, he's older than her with 2 weeks, and they're very close. And anytime she takes his toys, he doesn't fight. Instead, they will come and cry and ask me, can you tell her to give me back? Can you tell her to give me back? He does that. And I kept worrying. I just didn't want to teach him how to bully her back. So the day that I saw him rake her down, all that, I said, give it back to me. It's not for you. I felt okay. I need a bit of firmness in that boy, not to worry. I don't want... every day they will beat you, collect your toy. I just didn't want to say it. If it got to 6 years like that, I will address it too.
How do you address it?
I need my son firm. I need my son in my weakness to be sure that he will be able to defend me. I don't we want kindness, but
your crying does not mean you cannot defend your parents.
No. My husband, I've seen my husband cry when I lost my child. He doesn't know. Don't misplace it. Let's be sure that we know, certain.
Okay, so I'm going back to my question.
Okay, please,
listen,
your question.
There is a man that walks into the room. He looks like your Denzel Washington man, strong, or a Tyrese, dark skin.
Who's Nigerian man?
I don't understand.
My husband, RMD. He walks into, he has that presence. And there's one that comes in. So because
that's being effeminate.
So you're being effeminate. I want us to redefine it because we have a narrative. Because he's like this, effeminate. Suddenly, you feel he's weaker. You feel that he's a Now, I want us to now redefine it. How do we, as a parent, you have a child that is like that. There's nothing you can do about it. It's naturally like that. That's how God created him. Now, what we do in Nigeria is we try to toughen boys like that up and say, you're a boy, beat that personality out of him. My question, therefore, is that the right approach? Or do we let him be effeminate till he grows older and does that even till he gets married? Because I know somebody who is effeminate, he's married, he's still very, very, anyway, he works with it, he has children.
Does he have confidence?
Absolute confidence. I know him. So therefore, my question, we're trying to change mentality here now.
Okay.
If your son is like that, do we leave it as that? Or do we do the African way of toughen him up and beat it out of him?
Obiajulu.
My son is
Wait. Obiajulu mentioned here because I want to bring it back to the two sexes.
Okay.
If your friend was beating you up outside, the African thing is to beat you at home and send you to go and defend yourself.
Yes, that was my father's
So
way.
they toughen you up so that when they are not there, they don't think that something is wrong with you or that you're at risk of anything.
Yes.
It's the same.
Okay.
So when you have cause to worry about any child, that this child, maybe your kindness is a bit too much, add a bit of firmness, be able to say, don't touch me, be able to stand up for yourself. When you feel the fear that the world will take that person's kindness for granted, toughen your child.
Nima, I agree with you,
child,
Nima, but I don't understand why it has to be specific to a boy.
No, that's what I just said. Listen, for a girl.
We're talking about the boy child.
We're talking about the boy now. No, we're talking about but
Yeah, I'm going somewhere, Nima.
I just made an example of how a girl was, so it's both ways.
I'm talking about the conversation we're having, not to you specifically, that why, when we decide to do things like that, why do we make it specific to boys? And I'm not talking about you, Nima, because this is a conversation Nigerians tend to have, which is the boy needs to be given special toughness lessons. But it's important for women to also be given special toughness lessons. Yes, sir. I mean, there are many children when we go for the taekwondo, when we're able to go to stadium, you see many girls there learning taekwondo. My husband is so proud that his daughter is doing taekwondo. He was like, so that anybody she meets, boy or if he tries her, she can defend herself. So the kindness, the toughness is for everybody. As for effeminate, Mariah, I don't know. I don't want to go there because I don't know what the physiology is, how it works. But an effeminate man does not automatically make you a nice man, does not automatically make you a kind man, does not automatically make you a less confident person. Do you understand? That is just your mannerisms, you know, that is how you use your body, and that's different. Because a strong-looking, beefy guy can be a teddy. You hear them and they call them big teddy bears. So it's what they have inside of them, how they behave is what is important. How do they relate with each other? How do they behave with people? That you have a man who physically looks a certain way does not naturally or automatically means that this person is a defender of the universe and a defender of you.
Those kind
he
of
may
men,
not love you.
He may they raise their leg up for their wife to come and
we
kill
know
it.
many husbands that is the wife that comes to kill cockroach in the house because she'll be standing on the table and begging.
And he has all these.
So the effeminate thing, I don't know. I don't think I have the. I think it's a medical thing, and I don't want to go there.
You guys have not gone to where I want you to go.
We don't want effeminate. It's different.
Listen, look at it like your child, your son, is acting very effeminate. He's acting like a softie, every little thing, he cries, everything. So therefore, my question to you is that, would you recommend that your husband or any male figure he has to toughen him up because he's a boy? Or would you leave him like that to grow up in that way? That's the question.
He's not acting that way because there's no man present. He's acting that way because that's how he's been wired from birth. Okay. That's the personality he came with.
So would you leave it?
Whether there's a man involved or not.
Especially, would you leave it like that? Because especially those who have done that in the past, where that was beaten out of them, and they became
they don't beat it out of them. They hide it, and then they show it later in life when they feel more confident. We know a particular effeminate person who, when he was going for his father's birthday, dressed up in such a way that he knew his father would accept him. But we know he's a very confident. His mouth is sharper than razor. There's nothing in that person that shows that he's weak or he's scared of anybody. So for me,
I think the basic thing for us is to enforce teaching our children boundaries. So understand how to deal with people, understand how to relate when certain things come your way, understand how to block yourself from, being bullied and from being, used in the society. We can teach those basics to the children, whether they are like this or not. It's how they have been born.
Now you've gotten to where I want. So if your child right now, if you're a mother, either a single mother or even a mother that has a husband, if you have a son who acts effeminate, your job is to, the same way you raise a child, any child, to defend themselves, in the same way you should be able to train, because the world will be cruel to people like that, either because of their judgments or whatever it is, and you must be able to defend yourself. Is that what?
The world is cruel to everybody.
We were 4 girls, and we were raised to be tough. I remember when I reported that my friend was raped, I was given a pen knife by my father that in case you're coming from your GC classes, defend yourself. So I raised my girl to defend herself, but I will not fail to help my son look up to a proper role model of a man that inspires me as his own, to be a man that I'll be proud of. I don't want effeminate, and I cannot be putting water inside my mouth to say it.
Okay, no problem. All right, on that note, we have to wrap up the show. We have to very quickly keep Uganda in our prayers. Uganda right now, they had the elections yesterday. Today they are counting. Bobby Wine and his family are asking for help.
Persecuted.
Being persecuted right now?
No.
Yes.
He has just tweeted that his phone has been blocked and he's unable to keep in touch with the agents. So leading up to this particular campaign, there's been lots of brutality. People are being arrested. People are being tortured. People have been killed. And you know, sometimes we don't talk about it enough as Africans. We like to talk about the American story. So you're right. We should
it's important that we
prayers.
keep them in our prayers.
Yes.
But we are really, really paying attention to Uganda this weekend because that's a huge African story that we must tell. And it's something that we're waiting for it to build up and see how it goes. We only hope for the best for the country. And if Bobby Wine becomes the president, that's a turning point for Africa.
Ugandans, you people deserve change.
Yes.
And when it's 610, you people should liberate yourself.
35 years. 35 years.
It's not possible.
Bobby Wine that is running against him was 4 years old when this man became the head president.
here.
Bobby Wine is 38 years old. So the point is that we're going to be studying Uganda this weekend. Hopefully we'll make it a topic on Monday. But please, Nigerians, wherever you are, keep Uganda in your prayers. Let's hope that the election will be free and fair. I mean, they've already had it yesterday, but let's just hope that the announcements and everything else, the counting will be free. And if indeed...
Pray that the God of fairness enter the mind of this old man.
Yes.
Let him not die, Olorioye. He should retire honorably.
All right. That's what we can take. Have an amazing weekend. We'll see you on Monday. Bye for now.
Steamers, rice cookers, roasters, slow cookers, and just how many pots and pans does starting to look like a bad garage sale? Steamers, rice cookers, roasters, slow cookers, and just how many pots and pans does one kitchen really need? And every time you cook, cleanup's a disaster. Scraping, scrubbing, what a chore. What if you could